Check 1 2. Hey hey. Check 1 2. Hey hey. Check 1 2. Hey hey. Hey hey. Check 1 2. 1 2. Check, check, 1, 2. Hey, hey.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Aspen Chapel. My name's Nicholas. I'm the minister here. And I'd like to also welcome all of you who are streaming online. It's really great to have you with us. Thank you very much for joining us. If we need a few more chairs at the back, Will, you could just put some out? That'd be great. I've been away for a couple of weeks, and I'd just really like to thank Laurel Cato for really looking after the service here while I was away. Absolutely fantastic. And thank you for your lovely comments on our anniversary, which we have, and I really appreciated that. And also Michelle, who did the service, the message a couple of weeks ago, and also Rita Gaylord. I really appreciate it. It takes a lot of work to actually do the stuff, and for people to be willing to come in and put their hearts into it and open their hearts up. I'm extremely grateful to you all, and thank you so much. Just want to go through a few things. We've got tons of stuff happening over the summer. I just want to make you aware of what's going on. It's on the back of the service sheet. Tim Cooney's doing a Zen style meditation on Mondays, 8:15 to 9:15. That's happening here tomorrow, and he's doing it for the next 2 weeks. Then on Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a book signing at Explore Bookshops. I'm going to be doing this throughout the summer, so I'm afraid I'm going to continue to bash on. If you haven't bought my new book, please do. The whole idea of it is really to share some of the ideas around the chapel. The books are downstairs. Proceeds do go to the chapel of the books that you buy downstairs. And if you have read it, please review it online. It really does help. But I'm going to do a book signing at Explore this Wednesday between 6 and 7 o'clock. So do come along to that. Next Sunday, we're going to have really, if the weather's nice, an appreciation of the garden. It's our 50th anniversary, and we've been appreciating various bits and bobs around the chapel. And we're going to have, hopefully, the reception outside and just an appreciation of the garden coming up. So do come along to that. 4th of July, we're going to be in the 4th of July parade, the Aspen Chapel float. So do come along and support us for that. We are looking for a flatbed truck at the moment. So if you do know of a flatbed truck or can put your hands on one legally, then please do let us know. Willie, we might need some more chairs. Please do let us know, because we're going to be doing that on the 4th of July. Then on the 6th of July, which is the Saturday at 4 o'clock, we're going to have the last of our series of heritage workshops. And this is going to be a wonderful concert put on by Susan with art and art input by Tom Ward. And we're going to be celebrating these windows, which from the Beatitudes. There's going to be a fantastic choir. And so Greg will be here to talk about the windows a bit. So do come along to that. It's 4 o'clock on the 6th, and there'll be a reception afterwards. Also, just want to point out, we've got the monks coming back from the Deprum Losling Monastery. They are fantastic. And they're going to be doing a mandala in the Arts Museum. And they're going to be here on the Sunday, during the Sunday service on July the 7th. So the music on that Sunday service will be really them doing their chanting. And it's a really wonderful experience. So do come along to that. And then they're going to be leading the meditation on Monday morning at 8:15. And we're also going to have them on Tuesday morning as well. So they're going to be here for 3 days, the monks. So I put leaflets on all the seats. So do share this around with other people, because it's a wonderful thing to get involved in. So do feel free to do that. Just be aware also of this celebration of Thomas Keating. That is selling out quite fast. So if you want to come to that, suggested donation is only $25. It's July the 13th, Saturday, and the 14th. As is Matthew Fox coming on August the 4th. That's selling out as well. So please do sign up for that. On the Sunday the 4th, we're going to have our anniversary, the official anniversary, a rededication of the chapel. So it's just for your diary. And then our galas are going to be on the 5th, and Byron Katie is coming on September the 14th. So just to make you aware of that. I just also want to let you know something that one of the members of our community is doing. Nancy is doing a farm-to-table service, basically where she gets food from local farms and packages it all up and enables us to buy locally vegetables, fruit, honey, stuff like that. She's going to be downstairs afterwards. So do look at this, and maybe I'm signing up for it. Do sign up if you'd like to have your vegetables and fruit delivered. They'll be delivered to the chapel on Wednesdays, and you can just pick them up from here. So do see Nancy afterwards downstairs. That'd be great. Finally, I'm not going to embarrass you. Is anyone here in the chapel for the first time on a Sunday? Anyone here? Yes, I just got a little goodie bag for you here. Now, there is chocolate in there, so there we are. It is worth having, so there we are, Ellen. Thank you very much. Anybody? Yes, good. Do I need to give you two, or you won't fight over the chocolate? No, that one's fine. That's good. Anyway, yes, there we are. It's nice to have you here again. You were here at Christmas, I know. Yes, there we are. That's fantastic. With our new 50th anniversary logo on the back. Oh, yes, there we are. That's fantastic. Fantastic. Well, it's lovely to have you with us. Lovely to have people coming in and joining us on a Sunday. And on behalf of Aspen Chapel, I'd just like to say welcome. Thank you very much for coming. That's great. So long, though. I feel we ought to have coffee now. Anyway, but we're not. We're going to have Michelle come up. And Michelle, do you want to come and tell us what you're going to do with the children today?
Don't you worry that I'll take your congregation away from you?
Yes, well, constantly. Yes, I do actually. Michelle both is preached a couple of weeks ago, and also she's just come back from a border immersion program with 6 young women, and we're going to have a special service on the 18th of August where you're going to be able to hear about the wonderful experience they had down there. So thank you so much for representing us in that, and we'll look forward to hearing much on the 18th.
And today we're going to be focusing on sacred spaces and places. And I was thinking about if the kingdom of heaven is truly within us, then we need to seek out those places that make us feel that way. And I think in this world today, with so many distractions and so much noise surrounding our kids, we need to work really hard on finding those places, either in the house or out in nature, but really getting them accustomed to seeking out places where they can feel that sense of heaven on earth, because we all need that, don't we?
We do.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So that's what we're going to do today.
Thank you, Michelle. And if you'd like to join Michelle, please go downstairs. That's fantastic. That's great. So I always think it's good just at the beginning, when we come together like this, just have a few moments just to reflect on our lives, maybe with our eyes closed. Just to get a sense of where we are. What we've been struggling with this week. Our concerns for those around us. Also things that we're grateful for happening at the moment. Getting a sense of where we're at with our relationship with the divine. Maybe making a decision to be present here fully for this next hour. To open our hearts to each other. That we connect as a community. With the sole aim of connecting with that divine nature that's all around us. We walk together over this next hour as pilgrims, willing to be touched by what we hear, the music, the words, any sights that we have, the people around us. Open to being changed and equipped to go into our lives and live life more skillfully. O love divine, to whom all hearts are open, all desires known, and from whom no secrets are hidden, come and cleanse the thoughts of our hearts with the inspiration of your Holy Spirit, that we may perfectly love you and worthily magnify your holy name. Amen.
on prayer by Khalil Gibran. You pray in your distress and in your need. Would that you might pray also in the fullness of your joy and in your days of abundance. For what is prayer but the expansion of yourself into the living ether? And if it is for your comfort to pour your darkness into space, it is also for your delight to pour forth the dawning of your heart. And if you cannot but weep when your soul summons you to prayer, she should spur you again and yet again, though weeping, until you shall come laughing. When you pray, you rise to meet in the air those who are praying at the very hour, and whom, save in prayer, you may not meet. Therefore, let your visit to that temple invisible be for naught but ecstasy and sweet communion. For if you should enter the temple for another purpose than asking, you shall not receive. If you should enter into it to humble yourself, you shall not be lifted. Or even if you should enter into it to beg for the good of others, you shall not be heard. It is enough that you enter the temple invisible. I cannot teach you how to pray in words. God listens not to your words, save when he himself utters them through your lips. And I cannot teach you the prayer of the seas and the forests and the mountains. But you, who are born of the mountains and the forests and the seas, can find their prayer in your heart. And if you but listen in the stillness of the night, you shall hear them saying in silence, Our God, who art our winged self, it is thy will in us that willeth. It is thy desire in us that desireth. It is thy urge in us that would turn our nights, which are thine, into days, which are thine also. We cannot ask thee for aught, for thou knowest our needs before they are born in us. Thou art our need, and in giving us more of thyself, thou givest us all.
Thank you, Bruce. We've got quite a lot of a busy summer of Sundays in front of us. As I said, the monks are going to be here on the 7th of July. There's a Thomas Keating event with Cynthia on the 14th, the Bach cantatas on the 28th, the rededication on August the 4th, and so on. And so during the summer, what I've decided to do is an occasional series on the Lord's Prayer. And that means when I get a chance, throughout the summer, I'm going to come back to this at irregular Sundays. But I'm going to start this week, and we're going to have it next week as well. You know, before I went away, I mentioned the Lord's Prayer in connection with the idea of worship. And that was Khalil Gibran talking about prayer. But when Jesus, spoke about prayer, he was absolutely specific. He said, and when you pray, do not be like hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. And when you pray, do not keep babbling like pagans, for they think that they will be heard because of their many words. Do not be like them, for the Father knows what you need before you ask him, which is very similar to what Khalil Gibran was saying. He says, I will not hear unless and the Lord puts words into your mouth. This is then how you should pray. And he then gives us the Lord's Prayer. That's how it begins. He's completely specific. Go into your room. He's talking about a personal practice, which is what we advocate a lot here. He's saying, what's important is where the rubber hits the road is in that relationship with God, that personal practice. Now, the words that I use for the Lord's Prayer, I put on your service sheet. They're slightly different to the normal words of the Lord's Prayer. They were given to me by someone called John Petterville about 40 years ago, a translation. He was a biblical scholar. And these are the words that he uses. Father of us, the one who is in the heavens, hallowed be your nature. May your kingdom come, may your will be done, as in heaven, so on earth. Give us today our bread from above that gives our whole life meaning. Cancel our debts as we cancel the accounts of those indebted towards us. And let us not be led into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen. Now, I've mentioned this before, but my spiritual practice began with that. That was how I actually started, just using those words about 40 years ago, just as a basis for a spiritual practice. And the reason why I think it's important is that they're not just, John Petterville said this to me, they're not just a set of words that you just mumble when you're in trouble or when you're in church or whenever. In fact, Jesus gave these words because they lead us. If you take them each in turn, these lines, they lead us step by step to a portal that opens to the kingdom of heaven. Attitudinally, if you align yourself to these sets of words, step by step, they will open a portal. Now, I put a little graphic on your service sheet, which is from the film Stargate. And, you know, there are two people in it. Kurt Russell, who is of this parish, and James Spader have to get together a set of hieroglyphs. They have to find these, and they put them in this sort of like circle in a sort of NASA-like environment. And the moment they get them in the circle and they turn everything on, it goes, and this portal opens up. Now, the reason that I think that's important is that is the idea behind the Lord's Prayer. It is if you can attitudinally get yourself into that place using the words that he's given, the idea is that a portal opens up. You are in the perfect place to actually experience that universal consciousness, that universal mind, that larger self, whatever you like to call it. It is Jesus. It is the steps to enlightenment, which is the experience of the kingdom of heaven. And that's why they're there. And what we're going to do is, we're going to go through these over the weeks and just to see how they work. But I've mentioned before, how it works in general. And I'm going to do it again this week. Those of you who heard before, you're just going to have to hear it again. And also, you're going to hear it again next week because there are people who come in who haven't heard this before. And I just want to get people clear as to how this portal works. How the Lord's Prayer actually works as a system and why it's there. We're going to look at that first line today, Father of us. That's what today's message is going to be about. But Father of us, when you say that, you're acknowledging that there is an other in the universe. That the universe, there is something there that supports. There is something beyond ourselves. There is an other that we can relate to. And that other has a loving disposition towards us. So the moment you say Father of us, you acknowledge the existence of an other. The one who is in the heavens. And that places that other in relationship to our lives. It says, Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. So it's saying this is where it exists, that kingdom of heaven. Father of us, the one who is in the heavens. The kingdom of heaven is within us. It is all around us. We are like a living sponge at the bottom of a seabed with the ocean around us being that spiritual presence. We exist within that. We are within that divine presence. It's all around us. So you're acknowledging the existence of other. Then you're acknowledging that you are existing within a divine presence. Hallowed be your nature. The only response to seeing that there is another and it is all around us is we are not worthy. It is really saying, I am giving myself, to that divine presence. I am worshiping. I'm giving worth to that divine presence. Literally, may your being be regarded by me with a sense of respect and reverence. We acknowledge all that we do is in the presence of eternity, and we bow and give up to the magnificence of that eternity. That creates our relationship with the eternity. then may your kingdom come. May your loving nature come to order all things. We give up to the wisdom and love that is present in the essence of that being and allow it to order all that's around us. So we're giving up to that presence now. May your kingdom come. May your will be done as in heaven, so on earth. As in heaven, come and inhabit this beingness that is me. May my life conform to your purposes as I acknowledge that this game is yours and I am a part of this game. Wherever you are, you bring perfection, so bring perfection into my life. We then put ourselves into the breach at that moment. Give us today our bread from above that gives our whole life meaning. May I witness the meaning that's in my life. May I see the bigger picture, and in so doing, know what to do in any given situation. Give me the wisdom to understand. Cancel our debts as we cancel the accounts of those indebted towards us. May I let go of any attachments I have in this life, and so be able to focus on that divine beingness. And in so doing, I let go of anything that I'm holding on regarding other people, any accounts that I'm holding with regard to other people. There's a letting go of outcome there. And let us not be led into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And may I not be put into situations where I feel I need to choose between your way and going my own way, so that I may not take myself and place myself in a position of power rather than naturally allow things to happen to me. And then in the traditional form, for the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours. For everything that I participate with in this life comes from that divine nature. All power comes from that nature. And all thanks for anything I receive goes to that. Now and forever. In this moment, which lasts for eternity. In this now that lasts for eternity. So if you're able to do it, as you go through that, the portal opens. Now, it may not sort of earth-shatteringly open immediately, but you are in the right place at that moment. And the purpose of the Lord's Prayer is to get you to that place where you're able to fully be present to that divine nature, now and forever, now and for eternity. At that moment, the veil opens. And that's how it works. And, as you can realize, it is a lifelong work to participate in that. That is a lifelong participation in that. And it happens all the time. This morning, I still say that Lord's Prayer. Every day, I still engage with it. And every day, something different is there. And something, sometimes I come to it with a problem. And a line will deal with the problem in a funny sort of way. So that is the context. I'll be repeating that context just so people, can come up to speed as it goes along. It's the overall picture. But I just today want to look at that first line, Father of us. Now, the first thing, that hits you in this modern situation is why not Mother of us? And the truth is, there's no reason why not. There's no reason why it should be Mother of us. It's just that in Jesus' day, this was the best way of describing the intimacy of the relationship with that divine nature he was talking about. Abba, he said. Not the band, but what we now translate as being daddy. It could have been mummy, but it wasn't. It could have been non-binary they. And if you're thinking about the Trinity, maybe that would have been more appropriate. But it doesn't really matter. I don't think it's helpful. I don't really think it's helpful to look at this in gender terms, which are both subjective and anthropocentric. They put the human side first. I just don't think it's helpful. The key here is not about who we're talking about, but the fact that we're talking about the existence of an other. That is what's important, the existence of the other. This first statement is the affirmation of the existence of other, that we are not alone. And that is incredibly important. I mean, most of us, they say that the biggest cause of mental illness is loneliness. That's right. The biggest cause of mental illness is loneliness. And if you're going to preach the good news, I mean, really, that is the fundamental aspect that we are not alone, we are in a matrix, and that we're connected in that way. And that is an enormous thing if you actually fully get it. That there's not just us, contra mundum, us against the world, but there is something immeasurably greater than ourselves. And this acknowledges that. It is a transformatory affirmation, Father of us. Something that includes us and yet is also other than us. And once you've said that, once you've said Father of us, you have to go beyond the materialist. That there's nothing but atoms, that it's all random and chance, the selfish gene, that worldview of life. That takes you beyond that. You cannot say Father of us and inhabit that worldview. It takes you to a worldview that acknowledges the existence of something beyond ourselves. What it is, we're not talking about. What that other is, we're not saying. That it is, we are saying. As William Goldman puts it in his translation of the Cloud of Unknowing, which I used a few weeks ago, the author speaks in the Cloud of Unknowing of steps to enlightenment. And the first step is the rejection of all thoughts about what I am and what God is, in order to be conscious only that I am and that God is. The difference between what I am, which is where you're trying to think about, is it a man or is it a woman? Man in the sky, old beard, all that guff. To simply that God is, which is just the existence of other. Father of us is a statement that God is. And although it characterizes it as Father, it does not go any further than that. And in that, it is highlighting the relationship of dependence rather than the character of other. And that is a key thing. And that is part of the Lord's Prayer as well. It is the relationship of dependence that you're acknowledging. We are dependent. Rowan Williams says in his famous definition of spirituality, he says, Rowan Williams, the Archbishop of Canterbury, says that spirituality is the cultivation of a sensitive and rewarding relationship with eternal truth and love. The act of spirituality is the cultivation of a sensitive and rewarding relationship with eternal truth and love. And Father of us points to that relationship. It says that our life is in relationship to the divine. Divine, from the Latin word divus, which actually just means God-like. It doesn't even describe it. Divine means God-like. We don't know what God is. If anyone does, I'd like to meet them. But no one knows what God's like. It is God-like. It doesn't describe God, Father of us. It just says that whatever it is that we're talking about in terms of an ultimate being, that is what we're in relationship to you. That is what we're in relation to. Whatever it is as an ultimate being. As it says in the Tao Te Ching, the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. Anything you want to use to describe God, it's not it. So we don't know what it is. So the phrase Father of us is really affirming that there is an other. And that is life-changing. Once you affirm that, your whole life is not just... And most of the time we think, I believe in God. But we don't really unpack what we mean when we say that. Is it a vague thought? But when you affirm that, your whole life is not just about you and yours. How could it be? It's not about you and yours. With the existence of an other, your life surely has to be about the relationship with that other. If there is an all-powerful, all-magnificent, all-wonderful wisdom that actually does exist, surely one's life is just about how do I participate with that? That is the most key question. You can say, yes, I believe in God. Most of us say, I do believe in God, but I'm going to go my own way and do what I think is right and call on God when I need God. And that's ridiculous. It's like saying, I know you're there, God, but hey, I've got this. Come and live with me, but you can stay in the attic. And I'll call on you when I need you to come along and help, And then we get to the point where we call, we wonder why he doesn't come. And the fact of the matter is, we think we can handle it. We don't fundamentally give up and become dependent. We just say, hey, I got this. If there is another and an all-powerful grounded being that contains the ultimate order of the universe, what we think about anything really is not worth the being. What we think about stuff doesn't really matter, because there is something far more powerful. And it says, like in Einstein's famous story, all of our being, Einstein was, I bore this for everyone who knows, but Einstein was asked, what's the most important question you can ask of life? What's the most important question? And he said the most important question is the universe a friendly place or not? Because if the universe is not a friendly place, then we've got to use all our resources, everything we've got, all our money to defend ourselves from an unfriendly universe. Defense budgets. If the universe is not unfriendly or unfriendly, then as wanton boys are we to the gods. They kill us for their sport. There's nothing we can do. But if the universe is a friendly place, then surely we have to use all our resources, all that we've got, all our intelligence to work out how to cooperate with a friendly universe. How do we cooperate with that other? And yet, most of us just dog along. Do you have that expression here in England? We have dog along, just carry on doing stuff as if we just dog along, like dogs do, as if it makes no difference. We say our prayers, we come to chapel, we try and make our lives work. Father of us says that there is a universal mind there for us that we can connect with and be a part. We can then become a part of the solution rather than the problem. That's how you do it. You connect with that universal mind. That there is a wisdom that we can be in touch with, and that will allow us to transform our lives and the lives of those around us. And the key word here is us. And that is the other big takeaway of this phrase, Father of us. Father of us. Not father of some of us, but not gays and Muslims and refugees. It's Father of us. It is totally inclusive. Father of us, complete inclusivity. That lovely story I mentioned before. The guru was asked by his pupil, Master, how do we look after others? And the guru replies, there are no others. There are no others. Father of us is a statement that we are all equal. That all of creation has an equal relationship with the divine. And whatever Father is supposed to mean, and that to differentiate or even to have favorites is not being true to that relationship with the divine. There's an equality. And if you don't believe me, read James in the Bible. Suppose a rich person in fancy clothes and a gold ring comes to one of your meetings, and suppose a poor person dressed in worn-out clothes comes. You must not give the best seat to the one in fancy clothes and tell the one who is poor to stand to one side or sit on the floor. That is the same as saying that some people are better than others, and you'll be acting as a crooked judge. And this, of course, has huge implications for our family life, for our friends, for our community, and of course, for our nation. The idea of being equal under God is so key to us all. Thomas Jefferson's famous phrase, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with a certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Father of us. Directly. And there is what it links. And yet most of the time, we defer to a partial view, which says, to quote Orwell, yes, everyone's equal, but, some are more equal than others. So, just to be willing to follow Jesus and say, Father of us, just to do that one phrase is to radically define our relationship with life. And once you do both of those things, your life will never be the same if you're living true to that acclamation, Father of us. If you're living true to that acclamation, your life will change. Then your life will be focused on cooperating with that universal mind and realizing the brotherhood and sisterhood that we all share. In other words, Jesus' two great commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. See, it all fits together if you look at it. And that's how we're asked to live our lives. Because, as Khalil Gibran said, prayer is not just asking God for things, but prayer is reminding ourselves of our place within the nature of things so that we can live our lives appropriately. Prayer is reminding ourselves of our place within the nature of things so that we can live our lives appropriately. And it is us that we're talking to. And God speaks through us in the truth of our words. Amen. So let's try a bit of that. Have a bit of praying, shall we? Now we're going to talk to God and tell him to do things. No. Let's just open our hearts. And really what we're doing when we pray is, we're going into our room, we're opening our hearts, and we're really saying, may I be appropriate to my life? May I be appropriate to my circumstances? May I be appropriate? May my country be appropriate to our circumstances? May we be appropriate to the homelessness that exists in our country? May we be appropriate to those without food, to those who are in prison, to those who are in war zones, to those in oppressive regimes. May we be appropriate to those who are suffering, those who cannot help themselves. May the truth of the divine nature act through us. And we especially remember and think of those in our community who are not well. We think of Heinz Cordes, who's having hip replacement tomorrow. Pen Maroney we pray for Mimi Schlumberger, who's battling with cancer. George Brewster, struggling with cancer, CP's brother, and also CP's daughter, struggling with Lyme disease. Also Michael Eisenhardt, who's been diagnosed with Lyme disease. And Don Winsols, who's Matt's father, pray for a speedy recovery. We offer ourselves to be part of all that healing. Amen. Thank you for listening. You can't do anything else really, it's stuck there. Anyway, so we're going to pass around the plate now, a traditional thing. And please do feel free to give generously. Really, it just enables us to keep the work that we do going. And we don't have any big funds anyway that we rely on, except what generously is given to us by people in the congregation. So we'll have some lovely music to encourage you, but thank you very much in advance. Thank you very much. Just pass it to the person now. So I'm just going to, when I do this little series, just going to give you an opportunity just to experience those levels of those words of the Lord's Prayer, just as a short meditation. Just to give you an opportunity just to engage with it. So if you just feel like it, just close your eyes. And I'm just going to go through these words just to give you an opportunity just to attitudinally just engage with the thought as each one comes up, and just see how it takes you and how you're able to move yourself through these series of different states and stages. So Father of us, getting a sense of that other, that we're not alone. Father of us, that we're together in that, equal. Father of us, the one who is in the heavens. We are like a sponge at the bottom of the ocean, full of that Spirit. It's all around us. Father of us, the one who is in the heavens. Hallowed be your nature. May I bow to the divineness of that other. May your kingdom come. May the divine purposes be unfolding in this universe. May your will be done as in heaven, so on earth. May I conform to those plans. May I be a part of those plans. May I participate. I give up my will. Give us today our bread from above that gives our whole life meaning. May I see the meaning and purpose in my life in this participation. May I glimpse the wisdom of what to do in what situations. Cancel our debts as we cancel the accounts of those indebted towards us. May I not be attached to the outcomes of events that are happening in my life. May I be completely free, floating as that sponge in that ocean. And let us not be led into temptation. Let me not decide what to do here and what not to do there. May I be totally given up, and deliver us from evil. May I be not affected by ill will from others. For the kingdom, everything around me, the power, all that controls it, and the glory, all the magnificence are of that divine nature, now and forever, in this moment, which is the place of eternity. Isaac Kay, everybody, and Susan Nicholson. Isaac Kay, everybody. Isaac, thank you so much. Isaac, and we're so grateful Isaac is being with us. Isaac's going to be a big part of the music festival here. You're leading the Wednesday concerts, is that right? So if you'll see him, we've got him before he's had to start work properly on the festival, but if you go along on Wednesday, you'll see him there. Isaac, we're most grateful. Lovely to have you there. Isaac Kay, everybody. So do come downstairs and join us for something to eat and drink. There's plenty down there. But in the meantime, may the peace of God that passes all understanding keep your hearts and minds in the knowledge and love of God. Amen.